So we are with the president of the Celtics today, Rich Gotham, and we're really excited to have him at Simmons for the Inside the Idea interview series. Rich is born and raised in Massachusetts, and he went to Providence College and has a really interesting background in business, and now he's leading the 17 championship team, the Celtics, to a lot of success. So we're excited to learn a little bit more. So I'd love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about your background and how you got to the Celtics.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. But first I'd like to say thanks for having me and introducing me to the Simmons basketball team. It's a big thrill today. I didn't have what you'd call the traditional route into my job in sports. I get the question a lot of times, how did you get into sports? Everyone wants to get into sports, or a lot of people want to get into sports. Many people love sports and are passionate about it, would love to pursue a career. And it's a bit of a difficult industry to break into. Most people really have to have some form of connection, which I can't say that I did, or at least that I knew I did. Like a lot of people who grew up here in the Boston area, I loved all four Boston sports teams, but I never really dreamed of having a job in sports. I wasn't a good enough player to be a professional athlete, but I always had a passion for sports, and I hung on to that passion, and I played throughout high school and college, and even post-college I still play basketball now, but that had nothing to do with me getting my job. I was in the technology business, more specifically, before I joined the Celtics, I was in the internet new media business. I worked for a company called Lycos, which was a first-generation search engine before Google was a verb, before the internet and broadband were in everyone's living room. Mark Zuckerberg was probably 12 years old at the time, we grew Lycos into a very successful company at the time. Some of the early investors in Lycos turned out to be investors in the Boston Celtics. And after we sold Lycos, I was on the beach, so to speak. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next, but in no rush to go back to work or do anything. And I got a call sort of out of the blue one Friday afternoon from the owner of the Celtics, or the guy who had just put together an investment team to buy the Celtics, a guy named Wick Grosbeck. And Wick was a venture capitalist for Highland Capital, which is a local private equity firm. And he'd put together a group of investors and just called and said, hey, listen, I'm just looking, I've been looking for someone to come in and help me run the business. And I talked to 3 different people this week who mentioned your name as someone who, might be the right guy to help and who loved basketball. So I figured I'd pick up the phone and call you. And he said, so would you be interested in coming down and talking to us? And I said, well, unless John Henry or Bob Kraft are calling today, I'd be happy to. But even that was a lie, because even if they had called, I would have chosen the Celtics first, because I'm a basketball guy first and foremost, and the Celtics were always my team. So I went down and I took a look at the operation, and he said, best case, you take a look at it and you decide you want to get involved with it. In worst case, you give me a little bit of advice as to how you think I could get it organized, and I'll give you some Celtics playoff tickets. So it was a win-win. So it was the whole you had me at hello kind of thing.
Sierra Bender, the founder of the Sierra Bender Empowerment Method, Boot Camp for Goddesses, and also author of Goddess to the Core. And she is with us at Simmons College today talking about her new Goddess to the Core tour, where she will be going to a bunch of different organizations and college universities across the country to spread her mission to lower the statistics against violence against women and really solve all these problems that women are facing today in their lives and in their jobs. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and how it led you to found all of these amazing programs that have helped thousands of women?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, Emma. Well, my intention of my work is to lower the statistics of violence against women. 1 out of 4 women come from sexual abuse and assault in our country, and I'm being one of those statistics coming from abuse, and then also just seeing the suffering that women went through and how the medical, beauty, and fitness industry keep us tied in, of wanting us to be codependent upon them because we're not worthy, we're not pretty enough, we're not smart enough, we're not good enough. So I saw this across the board with a bunch of women that I was working with. So there needed to be something done. And I didn't kind of choose this, it chose me. And it just keeps growing and unfolding, and it's just been absolutely wonderful to meet women like yourselves. So the college tour actually started off, I wanted to do a tour because the hardest group to get of women were women ages between 18 and 24, the college years. One is they don't have money. Two is that they're at their most vulnerable because they are our next leaders, and also they are the highest statistic of sexual abuse and rape amongst college campuses or in this time of their lives. How could we say we're the richest and the most empowered country when we have these statistics? The eating disorders of anorexia and bulimia are just rampant. There's over 20 million women who are dealing with some type of eating dysfunction. We have girls that are cutting now, which are really huge. It's another way of harming or hurting ourselves. And then the number one killer of teens today is suicide. So, and the biggest one that I'm really scared of is the biggest fear of 10-year-olds is 81% of 10-year-old girls today, their biggest fear is being fat. So that tells us as the next leaders of where our culture is headed and what we need to do and be responsible. So me as an elder wanting to teach the next generation, which would be you, and the generation before you. So that's how it all started.
So we're here with Lou Imbriano, and former CMO of the Patriots, now an entrepreneur and an author of the new book, Winning the Customer, where he talks about maximizing relationships to generate revenue. And it is a great book, whether you are a marketing professional, a student, or just in general want to learn how to build relationships and be successful at keeping a great network. So definitely check out his book, and we are going to ask him a few questions to kind of talk about what he talks about in his book and his career journey. So you've had, like you said, a lot of experiences from your radio days to being an entrepreneur now at Trinity Marketing, where you work with all different clients, consulting and really helping them grow their business now. So as a college student, you are a professor. We would love to know, what is your number one piece of advice for students nowadays?
Sure. Someday when you get a job, there's going to be a jerk like me who tells you to go fetch coffee. And, of course, this isn't going to sit well with you because you've gone 4 years of college and you're above that. It's a mistake to think that way because everything you do is a test. So if somebody asks you to get coffee and they want sugar and 3 creams and you come back with 1 cream and 3 equals, why would they ever trust you with anything important? So you have to view everything you do as a test. And I always tell everybody, all my students, be the best coffee fetcher possible. So no matter what you're asked by somebody, understand the details, pay attention to them, and deliver on the details. And then people will begin to trust you and know they can depend on you. Because that's really the hardest part with young kids or folks coming into the workplace. They don't have any work experience. They may have internships and they did go through school, but really it's hard to know what somebody's all about until you see them in action. So I always say, look at every request as an opportunity to show people you mean business. And if you do that, you're going to definitely grow much quicker and much faster.
Today we are with Paige Arnett-Fenn. She is the founder and CEO of Mavens and Moguls, which is a global strategic marketing consultant firm, and she has been doing really amazing things with the companies large and small. So we're going to talk to her a little bit about her product launches and branding strategies and kind of how you can take some tips and tricks home with you today. So Paige, I asked you before, we're kind of in this social media craze, and I really wanted you to kind of explain in a tweet how your firm is unique, because you're not the typical marketing firm at all.
No, we're not. And it's very funny because I'm not personally on Twitter, but I follow a lot of people just to kind of keep my fingers in a lot of different pies. So that was a great question that you asked, and what I came up with was real world marketing experience plus passion plus chemistry plus depth equals results. So that's under 140 characters, but it pretty much explains what it is that we do.
Yeah.
So I've got a network of seasoned marketing professionals who have a lot of experience. On average, people have been doing marketing for about 20 years. So you're actually tapping into this breadth and depth of really great marketing expertise. And we're all very passionate about marketing, and we love what we do. And ultimately, when you tap into this network, you're getting all the experience and energy and enthusiasm that ultimately leads to great results for the clients that we work with.
So we are with Andrea Colville, the CEO of Broder Partners, which is a global PR firm, and we are in Boston, Massachusetts. And your focus is in clean tech and social responsibility, really, but you do branding, marketing, communications, public relations, and even social media now that it's a huge trend in the industry. So can you tell us a little bit about your background and how it led you to your leadership position at Broder?
Sure. Well, it's really nice to spend time with you, Emma. I started out as a journalist, and when I graduated from University of New Hampshire, I had a degree in journalism, and I think really that was the key thing that took me through my career, because the ability of anyone to learn how to write succinctly, to be able to tell a story, and to be able to communicate your ideas through the written word is probably one of the best skills you ever learn. And even if you do it just okay, it's a wonderful thing to know how to do. So I started out with that, and it was like I always tell people when they're getting started in any job or they're leaving college, don't worry about your first, second, or third jobs, because they're all stepping stones that lead to another one, and eventually you end up at something that has all of the attributes of a job that makes you really excited and happy. But a lot of my jobs, I was a new products editor, and then I went in-house at a software company, and I did public relations in-house, and then I went into the agency world, and just got more and more exposure. I started out in technology, and then moved into healthcare and B2B and consumer, and then got an interest in the business side of things. So that's how it worked out. So one thing leads to another.
Absolutely. I think I continuously hear that as a trend. They're like, especially as a senior, everyone's asking, so what do you want to do when you graduate? And you're just like, because your interests, sometimes you have a few interests. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're learning a lot and, you're honing in on skills that you need, like writing, that is PR. You need to be a good writer. So you probably built that foundation early on, and it probably helped you a lot. Definitely.
Just being willing to, I think any person, and I see a lot of interns that come and work with us here at Broder, I think the ones that do really well are the ones that are just into it to get as much experience, to get exposure to a variety of experiences. They're not, their first couple of jobs, I always say, focus more on the experience, and if you can, worry less about the money, Mm-hmm. And it's really easy when you're first getting started in business to say, oh my God, that $2,000 jump means so much to me because it's my whole free, my spending money. But the experience is what's important, because they all add up. And if you're doing things that you love, you get great references, and then you get the job you've always wanted.
Right, passion is definitely a plus. If you love what you do, it'll show, and you'll work harder.
Here at Omnicom, for us who put the program together, we look forward to this day as much as you all at Simmons, because you know what, we learn quite a bit from you guys too. It's not a one-way street. This is quite a reciprocal opportunity. And so my colleagues, who I invite to speak to the group, and they're part of the program, they look forward to engaging with students too. As we present, we engage, we get feedback, we get input, and so for us, it's quite important. So don't be intimidated in approaching somebody that actually wants to meet you at the end of the day. And so it's a matter of practice. It's a matter of not being shy and moving forward. It's that's all it takes. And then I think after you ask for one or two cards, you'll be amazed. You ask for cards forever and ever.
Yeah, I think it is one of those things where practice is important just as much as studying is important to a test. Practicing networking and really just going up to people, even if it's out of your comfort zone, it really helps. And I'm surprised at how welcoming the people are to give you their business cards and keep in touch. And it really is a great opportunity. And I can't even imagine not having Omnicom as part of the program. So do you think it will continue on for years to come? Are you planning on keeping it going?
Yes, I hope we can keep it going. We enjoy doing it, and I think it's proven to be a pretty well-received program at Simmons. So, as long as I'm here at Omnicom, I hope I can keep hosting it, yes.
Well, that is great news. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Omnicom has in store for us next time. I heard nothing but good things about this past trip. Everyone just raves about it. It really is a great opportunity and a great program. And
we thank you very much. We enjoy that, and this is at the end part of whole Simmons experience. It's not just your 4 years. years there. I mean, it's just I call it the sisterhood. It's this great alumni network that when you graduate, you become a part of. That always takes very seriously the fact that we help each other, and so this is a great example of how we all keep connected, keep networked, and hopefully come across each other in the roads of the industry and in the path that hopefully you all take in joining marketing communications sector. So.
Well, thank you so much. We really do have to give you a round of applause because you are so always involved in the Simmons community, always helping students and always present, and you really have made such a huge impact on Simmons. It must be amazing to be in this leadership position at this company and really impacting change throughout so many people's lives. And I would love for this last question to really be more so you reflecting back on all of your experiences from advertising to now working at Cotton, this big corporation, doing really creative and innovative things. What is your one piece of advice for college students right now?
Well, I guess my advice for all college students, whether they want to go into advertising and marketing or nursing, doesn't matter what you want to go into, is just be sure you don't forget how to spell or use grammar properly, or check the way you write sentences. There are those of us still in existence who take that quite seriously, and it just shows, we think, respect to whatever you're doing, to be a little bit more careful, to take the time to make sure you articulate properly and write your words carefully, and reread something before you hit the send button, or if anybody still puts it in an envelope and mails it, that too. It seems so simple, it seems like common sense, but I must say that it's becoming rare when you see a lot of incoming communications. It's becoming rare with people of the college age to see that the kind of care that used to be taken with communication is still being taken. And I think it will stand you in good stead to just make sure that you take those disciplines seriously.
And when you walk in, you get a great vibe from this office. You see a lot of, diverse people in here. You see a lot of diverse clients you guys are working for, and it's just like a really exciting program to be a part of, company to be a part of. And I think that it says something, when you said that you have a lot of students coming in for orientation, 22, 21, and really being trained in how to succeed in this world of idea engineers. And so I think that it would be really beneficial for our listeners to hear from you guys. If you want to be a future idea engineer, what will make you successful in this? What would make you a great asset to Sapient Nitro or a company like Sapient Nitro?
I think entrepreneurship to start with. I mean, you have to, if you believe in something, own it and run with it. But of course, also we will make you accountable for it, right? So that's an entrepreneurial spirit. Collaboration is very important. How you work with bigger team. Everybody's different, and you have to the diversity of thinking and also different perspectives is powerful, because when you collect them together and make it meaningful, it's very powerful for our client solution or anything we do. And then what would you say, flexibility?
Flexibility, I think a passion. There's an underlying passion here. People are very, very passionate about what they do, how they do it, as well as kind of a passion for what's next and what's new and what's around the corner. I think that everyone here is very comfortable with the idea of going into a scenario where we may not have done it before, right? That's almost built into, perfect clients are the clients that allow us to push them into new lanes where things may not be as well defined and may not be as comfortable. And it's living in that stretch moment, right? They say, in every job there's the 80% or the foundational skills that are required for you to do the job, and then there's the 20%, which is kind of the area that makes you a little bit comfortable. Maybe you've never done it before and you have to stretch to reach those opportunities. I think the focus for us is kind of living in the world of the stretch, right? The 80% is a given, right? In terms of you have to have the core skill sets to come in and be successful in a really passionate, driven, smart organization. But that interest in evolving too. And we've seen people here evolve in terms of their careers. They've come from different lanes and they've evolved to different jobs. We've had folks who, from a program management perspective, assume different responsibilities, or folks from a technology perspective come in and assume different responsibilities. And they have a quest for mastery. So the technologist who suddenly is interested in marketing and has a willingness and a passion to learn more about marketing suddenly gets to a point in his or her career where they're actually finding themselves very comfortable talking about both, right? That for us is a huge win, and we love to see, we use hybrid a lot in terms of kind of that hybrid mindset here is something that's really, really important of, it's a liberal arts kind of mentality in terms of saying like, well, gee, you're not educated, you're not going to school just to become a great plumber, right? You can be a great plumber, and you can be a great musician, and you can be a great artist, and you can do this and you can do that, and having that flexibility and the ability to kind of leverage some of those things in a role in a fast-growing company is really exciting.